I was stuck in a job that drained my spirit. With each passing day, the spark of my dreams dimmed. Then everything changed when I reached my breaking point. And I decided enough was enough. I spent years in that office, buried under the weight of routine. I woke up to the same alarm, sipped the same bland coffee, and faced the same stuffy cubicle. My desk was cluttered with papers representing tasks that seemed trivial. It felt like I was living in a loop. The fluorescent lights cast a pale glow over everything, mirroring the lifelessness I felt inside. Around me, colleagues carried on with blank expressions. Their eyes mirrored my own unrest. We exchanged half-hearted smiles and nodded in silence, our shared understanding unspoken. We were all swallowed by the sameness, but none of us dared to defy it. One day, the final straw snapped. It began like any other. I filed reports, attended unending meetings, and watched the clock move slowly. Lunchtime came, but I stood in line with no appetite. My mind was elsewhere, wandering through daydreams of a life filled with purpose. The afternoon brought another round of mundane tasks. I sat there typing half-hearted emails, aware of a growing pressure inside me. An opportunity slipped through my fingers. Another chance to rise had vanished. That was it. I felt a surge of frustration, and a flood of tears threatened to spill. The walls closed in, my heart thumping in rebellion. As my mind echoed with a simple truth, something had to change. It was now, or it was never. I had to leap into the unknown. When I returned home, the familiar path felt different. I was drenched in weariness, but electrified with a resolve I'd never felt before. I couldn't ignore it. Not this time. The thought of throwing away security was terrifying. Yet I needed more than safety. I needed a purpose. That night, as moonlight filtered through the window, I made a promise to myself. I promised to choose a path that awakened my soul, a path bursting with color and energy. Before I drifted into sleep, I imagined a new life, full of challenges and triumphs. I accepted the fear intertwined with the dream. For the first time in a long while, I felt hope's gentle touch. I was standing on the edge of change, and the leap awaited. I woke the next morning with a decision that felt like fire in my veins. I knew I had to leave the job that choked my spirit. There was no more room for doubt. I thought of the people I'd disappoint, the questions they'd ask. How could I walk away without a plan? It seemed irresponsible, even reckless. But I couldn't let fear dictate my life. I craved change. I yearned for something that sparked my passion. I clutched onto the thought that if I didn't seize my chance now, I might never get it again. I spent that morning reflecting. I replayed memories of past triumphs, moments when creativity flew unshackled. I felt alive back then, filled with ambition and vision. Could I capture that feeling again? I had to try. The usual breakfast of toast and coffee offered little in comfort. Still, I ate, contemplating the future. I needed inspiration, validation from someone who'd walked this path. I reached out to an old friend who had broken free years ago. We met for lunch, and as stories flowed, I felt new possibilities unfurl. This person had faced fears, conquered doubts, and was thriving. As I listened, a spark ignited in me. It was the encouragement I needed. This wasn't just a foolish fantasy. It was possible. My decision felt less reckless, more like a calculated risk. Confident but nervous, I crafted my resignation letter. I kept it simple, folded it neatly, carried it in my bag. For days it weighed like a stone. Every morning I hesitated, but I knew what had to be done. Finally, one Friday afternoon, heart pounding in my chest, I handed it in. The weight lifted. In its place was fear and liberation. I watched my boss's puzzled expression, noted the surprise, then turned and walked away. It was done. I had leapt into the unknown. I felt a blend of terror and elation, for I had severed the rope anchoring me to the past. Now I was free to find my potential. I was free to strive for more. With the resignation final, reality settled in. I was untethered. The security of a steady paycheck was gone, replaced by uncertainty. Doubts and questions filled my mind. Was I foolish for jumping without a net? Could I really make something of this? The excitement of departure quickly gave way to anxiety. Each morning, a gnawing sense of unease woke with me, a constant reminder of my plunge into chaos. I spent hours combing through job listings, willing my eyes to see beyond the text, searching for something that aligned with my awakening aspirations. My days transformed into a series of challenges. I attended networking events, even though the thought initially terrified me. Crowds and conversations drained my energy, but I wouldn't allow fear to hold me back. I knew I needed connections to advance. I observed, I listened. I found that people were willing to share their stories, their journeys illuminating paths I hadn't considered. In the evenings, I pored over new fields: design, marketing, technology, digital. I scoured online courses and taught myself the basics, building skills that could guide me forward. My determination was a dim light in the darkness, but it lit every step of my path. Then came the first interview. Weeks of relentless searching had led to this moment. No guarantee lay ahead, but the opportunity energized me. I prepared meticulously, rehearsing my pitch, honing my story. When the day came, I entered the room both hopeful and petrified. I stumbled, faltered, but didn't fall. I believed in my potential, and that confidence, it turned out, was enough for now. The outcome didn't matter so much as the experience. Each endeavor taught me something new. Resilience blossomed, a resolve to push through no matter how many doors seemed closed. This search for a new path, though daunting, was slowly unraveling the fear I'd carried. Each small victory, like mastering a new skill or meeting a helpful contact, fortified my resolve. Every struggle brought clarity. This phase was about discovering who I could become, not just finding a job. I learned that growth was a process, and I was willing to embrace every twist and turn it brought. This was only the beginning. In my quest, a surprising opportunity emerged. I volunteered at a local community center to keep my skills sharp and my spirits high. The center buzzed with activity, a patchwork of people with colorful stories and vibrant energy. Amidst the chatter, my eyes caught sight of faded posters, cluttered bulletins, and weary decor. An idea sparked. I found myself sketching out concepts, ideas tumbling over each other. I had proposed redesigning their materials, a task they welcomed with gratitude. With this project, I dove deep into the world of design, teaching myself to think visually, to craft stories not just with words but with imagery. I spent days and nights experimenting, learning through trial and error. Every completed piece felt like an achievement. I observed my work breathe new life into the center. The changes were small, yet significant, echoing the ones happening within me. The director noticed my effort and shared kind words. Their encouragement fanned the embers of my newfound passion, affirming that I was on the right track. For the first time in years, I felt the thrill of doing something that mattered to me. This volunteer project became a turning point. It gave me more than a portfolio. It ignited a spark. I realized I was capable of more than I'd imagined. A door had opened to a career path that wasn't there before, shaped from resilience and willingness to adapt. My confidence grew as I completed more pieces, each showcasing my expanding skills. I saw potential I hadn't recognized before, skills hiding beneath layers of doubt and conformity. Now, when I looked in the mirror, I saw more than the reflection of dreams deferred. I saw the beginning of transformation, an evolving individual who dared to believe in possibilities. This leap into design had not just offered new career prospects, it had rekindled a sense of purpose. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. And that realization, that sense of growth, was everything I needed to fuel my journey forward. With a small but growing portfolio, a new opportunity surfaced. A local entrepreneur learned of my design work and offered a freelance project. The task was specific and challenging but exhilarating. This was my chance to test what I'd learned, to prove myself. I accepted, and with that, a flurry of activity began. I immersed myself in the project, each element meticulously crafted. Late nights became the norm as I juggled creativity with deadlines. Although the pressure was intense, the work fueled me, not drained me. I felt alive, my passion guiding my every move. This project was no small feat. It tested boundaries, pushed my limits, and demanded solutions to fresh challenges. I collaborated with the client, absorbing their vision and translating it into vivid visuals. The process was transformative. I noticed my skills sharpening, my confidence solidifying with each completed task. Every step of the project was a lesson more valuable than any classroom. I learned to manage time, negotiate details, and adapt my style to fit various needs. As my final designs came together, I felt a swelling sense of pride. I saw not just a completed project but a marker of my evolution. The client's satisfaction was the ultimate reward, and their affirmation a soothing balm for my persistent self-doubt. I relished their feedback, their recognition, for it validated my journey and my choice to leap. This freelance work became more than a job. It was a tangible reminder that I could succeed outside the confines of traditional employment. I started realizing that my potential no longer lay dormant. It was alive, vibrant, and finally being acknowledged. I knew there would be more projects, more chances to grow. This was not an ending, but a beginning. The path ahead was still uncertain, but I was armed with newfound strength and belief in myself. Each success, no matter how small, cemented that this leap had been the right decision. I was moving toward a future crafted on my own terms. Just when my confidence began to soar, a harsh blow struck. I faced rejection from a company I had hoped to join. I had set my heart on the position. It aligned with my new trajectory, and I promised growth. The rejection email felt like a punch to the gut. Anxiety flared up, whispering defeat into my ear. Was I presumptuous to think I'd succeed after just a few small wins? I struggled with a familiar sense of inadequacy that threatened to undo the strides I had made. I waded through a few days of disappointment, wading through emotions I wish I could brush aside. The fear of failure loomed large, casting a shadow over my recent achievements. The frustration was acute, a sharp reminder of the uncertainties inherent in this journey. But beneath the layers of doubt, something resilient stirred. I remembered the joy of creating, the affirmations I'd received, and the internal compass guiding me towards personal fulfillment. I told myself that growth doesn't happen without setbacks. Loved ones noticed the silence shrouding me and gently offered perspective. Their support helped lift the fog and rekindle my determination. I realized that the path wouldn't be linear and that challenges are mere waypoints, not endpoints. This struggle birthed a crucial realization. Resilience is built through trials, not successes alone. Armed with this new mindset, I embraced the setback and doubled down on my efforts. I committed to continuous learning, adapting, and searching. I revisited my projects, tweaking, refining, reinforcing what I knew was possible. Each adjustment was a reminder of my capabilities. I refused to be defined by this setback. It became fuel, fanning the flames of my resolve to press forward. The rejection, though painful, was a turning point that redefined my understanding of success. I learned it isn't merely about the destination, but about persevering through the journey. My dreams were too vibrant to relinquish due to one closed door. I resolved to transform fear into fire, uncertainty into opportunity. Despite the setback, hope flickered anew. One morning, a message popped up from an innovative startup. They had seen my freelance work and were intrigued. The designs I created had woven their way to this unexpected place. It was an opportunity I hadn't foreseen, one that could propel me forward. I approached the interview with renewed fervor, leveraging every lesson learned. I entered their small but vibrant office, greeted by creativity and energy that the air seemed to vibrate with. The team was young and driven, embodying the spirit I craved in my new career. The interview unraveled in a warm, inquisitive manner. They asked about my volunteer work, the freelance project, and my journey from the old job to the present moment. I recounted my trials, my triumphs, speaking from the heart more than from a rehearsed pitch. I realized that authenticity now colored my narrative, a testament to the growth I'd experienced. The discussions resonated with me in a way that was both invigorating and reassuring. I felt a connection with their mission, an alignment of goals and values that I hadn't expected to find so soon on my path. As the interview concluded, I walked out with a sense of fulfillment. Whether or not an offer materialized, the experience mattered. Days later, confirmation arrived. I secured the position. The words jumped from the screen, filling me with a mixture of relief and excitement. I had landed on my feet in a place brimming with possibilities. Starting at the startup ignited a deeper passion. I was surrounded by minds eager to innovate, ideas bouncing around like sparks from a fire. I immersed myself in projects that challenged my creativity and honed my skills. Each day was a gateway to learning, each task a building block for my career. As my confidence grew, I flourished within the team. My contributions weren't just appreciated, they were celebrated. I found a place where I belonged and a purpose that resonated with my desires. I embraced the future as a canvas where I could paint my dreams in vivid colors. This new role was a testament to the richness of self-discovery, of courageously embracing change. The leap had revealed a path to fulfillment marked by resilience, creativity, and the beauty of knowing that taking risks could illuminate the way to my brightest future. A year had passed since I stood at the precipice of change, since I took that fateful leap. Reflecting on the journey, I saw more than a climb to career success. I witnessed personal transformation, a narrative of growth, both profound and deeply personal. Success, I realized, had shed its old skin. It was no longer solely about climbing professional ladders or accumulating achievements. It meant something richer, something tethered to inner fulfillment and authenticity. I had chosen a path defined by passion, resilience, and continual evolution. I found myself imparting the lessons I had learned. My stories of struggle and triumph reached others, providing a thread of hope for those standing on their precipice. Helping them explore their potential became an extension of my journey. It wasn't about leading them, it was about passing them the torch, igniting their own path to discovery. At the community center where my journey had truly begun, I started workshops for those like me, who felt trapped, who longed for change but feared the unknown. I saw myself in their eyes, in their hesitations and uncertainties. I understood their struggles on a visceral level, sharing experience and insights. I aimed to inspire them to pursue their dreams with courage, Empowering others filled me with a sense of purpose I hadn't anticipated. This journey had granted me clarity, affirming that fulfillment comes from shared efforts and connections. I was building a legacy of empowerment and encouragement beyond personal success. As I stood at the front of the room, speaking to a group eager for change, I knew that my journey, while deeply personal, had grown into something collective. Together, we were untangling fears, embracing challenges, and lighting paths forward. The future now loomed like an open sky, wide and inviting. Uncertainty no longer threatened me. Instead, it beckoned me to explore further. I had come to treasure the beauty of change, understanding that every leap into the unknown holds the potential for discovery and transformation. I carried this truth with me as a mantra, a guiding star illuminating the path ahead. For in embracing the future, I had ultimately found myself. My leap had become flight, and the journey was far from over. The world ahead appeared endlessly inviting, and I was ready to embrace whatever came next. Challenges would arise, surely, but I now faced them with a steadiness bolstered by past experiences. It wasn't just about a career anymore. It was about living a life filled with purpose, one that balanced achievement with personal well-being, community impact, and the joy of constant learning. I had made peace with not having all the answers. The unpredictability of life no longer felt like a threat, but an opportunity to learn and grow. I was living a life crafted from dreams, not fears. My journey was evolving as I continued to expand my skills, reaching out beyond my comfort zone. New projects tackled, new lessons learned kept the flame of curiosity alive. Every day presented a chance to push boundaries further, to redefine what was possible. Connections grew stronger, spanning teams and communities, creating a network rich with shared goals and mutual growth. These relationships, born from sincerity and shared aspirations, were my greatest assets. They nourished my spirit and continued to inspire me, just as I hoped I inspired them. Reflecting on my path, I saw that the first leap, the leap of faith, had indeed become something transformative. It forged a bridge from who I was to who I am still becoming. My story, the peaks and the valleys, was one I cherished. Each chapter carried lessons that fortified my spirit. Now, as I look to tomorrow, I embraced the idea of an open-ended journey. The future would unfold in ways I could never fully predict, and that was a reality I welcomed. I had learned to trust the path, even when the destination wasn't clear. Each step was part of a journey toward a brighter, more hopeful future. A future where fear didn't restrain me. Instead, I welcomed change as my companion and guide. And so, with each new day, I would remind myself to take that courageous leap into the unknown. For that leap holds the promise of becoming the person I am meant to be. I stand ready and unafraid, poised for whatever comes next. It all began with a simple, fearless leap of faith.